Oh, green light racing, a nervous sigh from me. I can't imagine what the drivers are going through now. We've got Essa there on the right of your screen. On the left, we've got Jordan Shedder in first position. They make their way towards the flag. Ladies and gentlemen, we have green flag racing. Off they go. Shedder in the lead so far. Essa pulling up alongside. Shedder's got the inside line. That is Oliphant there making a move. Or Abschmeyer making a move on Jadwat there. Jadwat loses his third position. Oh, as they go into the first corner. So far, so good. Some of the guys coming in hard on the brakes. They're 4 abreast further back. As Shedder takes the lead and keeps it. Essa slots into second place with Bashir now back into third. We go on board with Bashir Jadwat.
Great racing, and nice to have that cam from above, and you can see guys leaving each other enough space. Really good driving, like we saw in the prams, everyone making it through turn 1 unscathed.
You know, like the Schumacher S's, like that last chicane. I mean, yes, we did see Bashir make a mistake coming out of that chicane. Oh, that's a bit tight there. They might touch.
It was great.
Quaid Claessens takes it on. Yeah, Quaid Claessens takes advantage. I thought they might have touched there as they now head to the Schumacher S's. And as I said, this is where I thought a lot of the mistakes would happen. But as you pointed out, Marius, the mistakes are happening in those spots where the guys break 1 meter, 2 meters too late and then run a little bit wide. And then jump back outside. Well, if it goes around the outside, the other 2 cars also cornering and or at least coming closer. And look at that, they're all bunched up now. Oh my goodness me, what is going to happen?
Bruno nailed the brake marker there. I mean, he was...
Willifant now losing out. Willifant goes wide. Willifant goes wide, loses 2 positions. Willifant goes wide. Oh my goodness.
Because it didn't look like... I think they touched. It looked like he was rotating fine and suddenly ran really wide. But Bruno nailed the brake marker there. That was fantastic under massive pressure.
Well, Quaid Claessen's now having a look there, fighting for the 6th or 5th position over there. Quaid Claessen's having a look. He's going to go down the inside here into the left hand in the Mercedes Bowl. They go side by side. This is bad. This is bad. He touches the Mercedes Benz, and the 2 of them are now parked on the track. That is it for Bruno Cadin's 5th place hopes.
No, but that's just naughty. I mean, that was never, ever an opportunity, and that's what we're saying. You know, it's like we've been seeing the guys being so good in terms of when it's a definite chance for an overtake, and that wasn't it.
Just up front in 6th. Here's that replay now. We've got the eyes on the Mercedes-Benz. They go through that left-hander over there. That's the Schumacher Inces. That's the Schumacher Inces.
Yeah, I was saying, guys, there was no ways. I mean, because he was like, in 3 laps for him to have lost 10 seconds. That's a big off. And that you were saying about how tricky that corner is, and we're saying, nah, nothing bad's been happening there. Now it has. So,
I'm surprised not more guys have gone off there, to be honest. Cody Shedder now in 5th position. Yeah, we got eyes on him right behind Abschmeyer, and this is more than likely going to be one of the last laps. He has a look down the outside. He's got the pace under braking. He tries to do the undertake over there. What is going to happen into the left-hander now as they go into the Mercedes Bowl here? On the outside, that's the wrong line. That line's never going to work. And that's the half spin you were talking about earlier on. He's across the track now. He's across the track now.
That was far too aggressive. That was never ever going to work.
Making his way down the final strip. Hold it together. Foot down on the power. Fist in the air. Jordan Shedder wins for the first time this year. Ladies and gentlemen, there is your winner, and a well-deserved performance. And as you said, Marius, a masterclass. That's really what that was.
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, we said people rise to the top of the pile in conditions like this. And you know, he's literally going to be walking with a big smile on his face, because that was impressive driving. Qualified there and raced away from everybody. Didn't put a wheel wrong in really tough conditions. And I'm interested. I'm watching this gap. It's at 13 seconds for Quaid over Bruno.
Yeah,
so it looks like Bruno's going to get that 8th position anyway. But well done to Morgan, because he's had about 3 or 4 laps under massive pressure. Leslie Oliphant just ahead. We've got a Porsche running wide. Hope he's not going to get in the way coming back on. But that's it, to get the flag. So those results are done. So Bruno still securing that 8th place, only just.
Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Please don't let me in.
Take you down, I'ma say that. Money, me, $2, telling you now, this payback. So I take that. Ask him now, we'll save that. I've been going to the top and I got what they not, so I know that they hate that.
He had to slip down all the way into turn one, and it's breaking it down.
All these lanes gonna tell you what I did and they twist and they once till I fall out. But I know that, so I keep what I'm doing cause I own that. And I stay in the lab and I kill everything, but I don't ever move from my phone. So found me back in my home. I'm working, I saw no one, this late to go. Do we have one late to run? So it'll be just about all in, keep me up cause I'm back in my zone now.
Having a great strap and almost banging wheels.
Cause I'm back in my zone now.
That goes green, no way. That's good, settle down.
It is round 7 of the ATK Pro Series, and this week we are at Barcelona, Catalonia, of course, and what a circuit it is. We've just seen the Pro-Am guys go around here, and it was frankly spectacular. And that spectacular action is, of course, brought to you by our partners, Kailami 9 Hour, Assetto Corsa, and Motorsport South Africa. We've also got our sponsors, AMD, Elgato, Corsair, and Sparco. And if you want to know more about how you can win some cool Sparco gear, stay tuned. We'll be telling you guys about that later on. Our race day schedule saw us earlier on watch the Pro-Am race at 1 o'clock. And it was absolutely action-packed. And the action continues now at 5:30 with our Pro race. Yesterday, the drivers had to do a seeding run. And the top 30 guys went through to the race we're about to watch now, which is, of course, the Pro race. And these guys are the best of the best when it comes to sim racing, Assetto Corsa, and basically hustling a car around a track like this. But as always, I'm joined by the man with a plan. We've got Marius over here, the man with an opinion, the man with a voice. Marius, how are you doing today, sir?
I've got nothing to say. Tasman's joining us for the Pro race. We'll let her do all the talking. But yeah, listen, wow, what a flippin' amazing race. I mean, I know 2 weeks ago we did throw a curveball with the weather playing its part, and the guys were fantastic from a driving responsibly perspective and gave us some great racing. But Circuit de Catalunya, I think a lot of guys know their way around the track. Their racing was super close right through the field. And I think we're going to be in store for a really fantastic Pro race. I know Jonathan was busy with lots of incidents, so that means Tasman and I are going to be busy tomorrow with our incident report, because it just feels like it's that type of track where it's hard to get into a rhythm, easy to make a little mistake, outbreak yourself, tap guys. We saw a lot of that, Jonathan?
Yeah, that's for sure. There was a lot of, I mean, those Porsches in the mid-pack there that were bunched together, all huddled together in their little Porsche clique. They were having a few bumps and bashes along the way. But yeah, I completely agree with you. What you're saying there with the this kind of track seems to encourage the guys to make desperate moves, and you know, not massive impacting crashes, but there seems to be little niggly, irritating little bumps and bashes around the track. So, you know, I've given the drivers a bit of a talking to, a bit of a heads up of how Pro-Am went, and so I'm kind of hoping these guys show their Pro class and, you know, step up to the plate.
Speaking of someone with Pro class, sorry, Marius, we've got another Pro in the tower this week for the Pro race, and she just won a race recently with Formula W. Tasman Pepper, welcome.
Thanks, guys. I missed you. But I don't know about Pro. Did you guys see my lap around Barcelona? It was when Dad told me how quick the other guys were going. I was like, there's no chance I can go any faster on this track.
What do you think of the track, though, Taz? I mean, you've obviously gone. You took us on that lap around there. I mean, for me, it's a really cool track. Not as many overtaking places as people like to think. Not the place where you can do your favorite lunging for a late braking move, but a very dynamic track and big undulation changes too, which a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah, I think it's quite a fast track, and like you said, there isn't big passing opportunities, but it's kind of one of those tracks where you got to line up and use a little bit of brain power in order to make a move happen. So I think it's not one of those ones where you can kind of just dive up the inside and hope for the best, but more something you got to set up and line up before making the maneuver happen. It's a really good track, a really fast track, but it's a track where you can make a lot of mistakes. So I think it will make for interesting racing. But yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's what we were saying, Ernest, during commentary. We were having a chat about like just finding that rhythm, because a lot of the corners are flowing corners linking one into the next. So it's so important to keep that rhythm and like Tasman's saying, set yourself up for the overtake move that you're going to make, as opposed to having a real clear-cut move. So I think for 50 minutes in a race, to lap after lap be hitting the brake markers, there's a lot of downhill braking, very easy just to leave it a split second too late and run wide and give your competitors a chance. Hard to keep this together for 50 minutes.
Well, the competitor list here is certainly a who's who of sim racing. We got Leslie Oliphant on top at the moment with a 142.288. Bash Jadwat, one of my favorite drivers, and I know one of yours, Marius, is in second position. And this, of course, is just the seeding. We've got Zahir Essa in fourth. And that man is not used to being on anything other than the front row. So this is just the seeding. This is where the guys have put themselves to be in a position for pro, and now they're going into qualifying. And as you said, Marius, these corners here really need to be linked up one after the next, especially the complex before the main straight.
Yeah, look, it's also what's what I love about Pro-Am is it's a real mixed bag of manufacturers and drivers. We're always seeing someone else at the top of the pile, and if you look at our podium, I mean, we had 3 different manufacturers represented there. Not always the case when we get to pros, because normally the Porsche parade. But there are some new names that we've seen coming through, and like we saw in Pro-Am, some guys that didn't seed for the pros. So that for us is really, really cool. But I think, again, it's going to be the usual guys at the top. I don't think we can read too much in the 2 Audis being way down, because our winner in Pro-Am, Craig Ecote, was in an Audi. So I think Audi's going to be good here from a handling perspective as well.
Yeah, we are now going to look at the standings, the championship standings. And as we said earlier on, Zahir Essa on the top spot. These standings, of course, are provisional standings until today's racing is complete. And then the new standings will be released. So this is running up until this morning, effectively. And all the guys that went into the Pro-Am race, their numbers still need to be added. So this is the standings as they are currently before this race. But a lot is going to change. And the top 3 there, again, Zahir Essa, Jadwat, Oliphant, Morgan McCall in 4th position. Surprisingly today, though, Junior McCall outqualified Morgan McCall in the seedings.
Yeah, but like we said, I mean, I don't know. I find with racing drivers, they do what they need to do. And then the guys that have been playing at the top of the pile just have that little bit extra come race day. They kind of go home after their qualifying runs yesterday. They fiddle around with some setups. They go through all the data. They go, okay, right, this is what I need to do. So, yeah, I think it's hard to read into things too much now until we see what happens in qualifying.
Totally agree with you on that one. And we look forward to qualifying, which will be coming up in the next couple of minutes. Stay tuned, folks. The pro race comes soon. It is rush hour traffic out there at the moment as the guys try and make their way forward. Of course, these guys, being the pro guys, there's a lot more strategy involved with qualifying. So I think what's happening is the guys are trying to separate themselves from the pack. But so far, there are cars line astern all the way around the circuit, trying to get some clear air. You can feel the tension in the air. There's 17 minutes of qualifying left. Marius, if the Pro-Am race was anything to go by, this one is going to be an absolute cracker.
Yeah, it's quite cool what you mentioned there because, we know in the pros, there are a lot of guys that work together. They are in teams. We've got brothers that are racing together in terms of Cody and Jordan Sherritt. So I think the guys work strategy and they kind of run one setup during qualifying yesterday, the other teammates on a different setup, and they compare notes to see what works best. And that is what pros do. And that is why there is such a massive jump up. If you look, 2 seconds quicker in terms of fastest man in Pro-Am versus pros. So there is definitely a hell of a lot of strategy that goes into it. But the circuit as well, we spoke about in the Pro-Am race, and there's some places where you can really get punished for exceeding track limits. We'll look at a couple of those spots on the circuit where it's very easy to straight line and take just a little bit too much, and the game's obviously going to nail you for that. But technical circuits, I think the guys all want to get a banker lap time down, and then the games will start,
Well, speaking of banker lap time, Bashir Jadwat immediately sets a time of 1:42.5, which is faster than his seeding time. I think it is 1:42.8 in seeding. And Bash now looking really good so far. Quade Claessen's in second position just behind him as we now go watching Bash on the screen here in the ATK car, looking good with that giant ATK stick on the side. Of course, the guys can now all send their liveries into Jonathan, our technical director over there, and can have their cars displayed with their sponsor logos. And this, of course, the ATK car looking good out front there at the moment.
Yeah, listen, that's one of my favorite corners that he's going through right now. That's turn 9. It's actually a hell of a steep climb up to that. And that corner is a committed one because it's a bit of off camber and the rear of the car gets very, very light. Down that back straight, heavy braking opportunity and for overtaking as well. That's probably one of the sweet spots. But this little technical section here is so cool. When I was here 2 years ago watching the MotoGP, they don't turn right here now. They continue straight. Whereas for us, we go into this little chicane area, and it's very, very hard to get the car lined up because it's this that's critical, this exit here, because you've got one last turn, and the drive out of this corner is critical down the long straight at Barcelona for turn 1 if you want to either get an overtake done or if you want to defend your position. So very technical, that last bit.
We saw a lot of that early on in the Pro-Am race about the guys having to set up that last corner. Speaking of setups, we got Jason Webb here, the man used to setting up drift cars, now trying to set up the Mercedes-Benz to compete with the Porsches and the Audis here. Him and Bruno Cadley are the 2 faster Mercedes drivers, and we'll be watching them closely to see which one is the quickest today as he hustles that big Mercedes-Benz GT over there through the final complex here. And this is the part we're talking about. Running slightly wide here, getting this last corner onto the main straight over here. And I'm sure the race car driver in our group, Tasman, can attest to the fact that every kilometer gained on the straight, you get to keep. But every kilometer lost is gone.
Yeah, like Marius is saying, that chicane is very, very critical. You don't want to concentrate too much on the first one. You want to not overshoot the first one just so that you can make sure you get that really, really good exit up the second part of the chicane, as you want to make that last right-hander flat so that you can obviously get the top speed down the straight. So I think a lot of these corners are very similar to that last section. Not always overshooting the first corner to make sure that you get the drive out the second part of the corner. So yeah, this is a long straight, so you want to make sure that you have the top speed you can possibly have. If you're losing 2Ks an hour, 1K an hour, it can affect you big time at the end.
Big time. It's a very long straight indeed. Not quite as long as some of the other straights the guys have been driving on some of the other circuits. Paul Ricard comes to mind. But the person to watch now is Zahir Essa, who's just perped Bashir Jadwat by 0.072 of a second to do a 142.462. Now, this is, I think, the first time I've seen anybody do lower than 142.5. And Zahir Essa is just absolutely flying. He was actually up in the previous sector, but then decided to kill the lap, and he's now going out again. Obviously made some small changes and now going out again to try and beat that time. I'm sure he believes that he can go faster, but Bashir Jadwat's going to have something to say about that, I'm sure.
You know what we haven't even mentioned yet? If you are joining us for the stream, have a look at the time there, 7:07 p.m. So they're pretty close to kind of our time that we're sitting here in South Africa. It means they're going to run into a night race. So again, we want to, at the end of the 12 rounds of the ATK Pro Series, say, hey, this is the fastest sim racer in South Africa. So you've got to be able to race in all conditions. They had rain 2 weeks ago in Nürburgring. Now they're going to be racing into the dark. So the guys haven't come to terms with that yet. We haven't seen a night race, but also critical from a driver's perspective is what you're getting now from the track temperature, understanding what tire pressures to run. Super critical, because tire wear is going to be massive. We saw it in the Pro-Ams with like 15 minutes to go again. So get your pressures wrong at the start of the race and you are really going to be in trouble come the end of the race. So they're going to be running on a cool track, which is going to be hard to get that setup done right.
Share it now on screen over there in 27th position. He hasn't done a lap yet. So our previous winner, let's see how he does in the black Audi over there. We saw a masterclass in wet weather driving at the previous round, and Sherrod, no stranger to being at the front of the pack. This is not going to be normal for him, I'm sure, as he makes his way around the circuit now, trying to get his first lap in. 11 minutes of qualifying left as Sherrod makes his way down to that very tight hairpin. We spoke about this earlier on as well, Marius. What a circuit with all these combinations of corners. We've got the section of here that the guys have to really do very slight double apexes. They've got to use the entire track with at this section of here, for example. I mean, look at that. And then the very complex section over here. This is an all-rounders track, and it's a test for any driver, really.
Taz, what's so cool as well, I mean, there are a couple of corners, like just going on that little complex, there are a couple of corners that you've got a couple of variations on your lines that you can take. And we've seen, especially there, heavy braking, where guys outbrake themselves, but all they do is just end up staying wide because they've got the right-hander in the complex to kind of back off and defend their position again. And a couple of those long right-handers where you can go wide in and tighten it, or you can try and stop the car mid-corner and then get it straight and come on the power earlier. A couple of different lines through here. That's what I enjoy about the circuit.
Well, Sherrod's just gone fourth now. And speaking of lines, just look at how wide they go. We're on board with Zahiri Essa. He's currently 1/10 of a second up as he comes through the left, then right-hander. You've got to be very patient here. Just under 1/10 of a second. There's nothing in it. Bashir Jadwat behind him on track at the moment, but not able to match his times right now. So Essa looks to be going faster if things hold together through this final section. He gains a lot of time through there as well. A beautiful drive there by Essa. And now he makes his way through the finish line. He lost a little bit in that final corner there. But overall, he should be going slightly faster, extending his lead over Bashir Jadwat in second place.
Yeah, and he does. You see, it was a 0.7, now it's 0.1. Not much in it at all. I mean, literally nothing in it with 9 minutes to go. So plenty of time for the guys still to get things fixed. But Taz, you saw that when you were doing your track run around here, introducing our guys to the circuit. Lots of lines through here.
Yeah, and I mean, already we've seen so many different lines with the different cars we've been following around track. So I noticed that there was a lot of different lines you could obviously take, and some work and some don't. But I think every car with the different characteristics of that specific car is going to allow for the different lines, So I noticed with the Porsche I was driving, obviously there was no setup on it, but the rear was very loose. So you almost had to make the corners like trail brake it into the corners and keep it a little bit tighter than normal. You couldn't go in too fast because I would keep losing the rear. So I think there's different obviously different cars have different characteristics, but yeah, this track does allow for different lines, which also makes for better racing as well, because you can choose different lines to try and get around a car in front of you.
And also a lot of sorry, and so I mean a lot of the track as well is very much follow my leader, where it's all corners that are flowing and linking, so there's no real overtaking opportunity. But like you said earlier, it's about getting it done right, because you're setting it up for 3 corners down the line where you're going to try and have your overtake move done. And we saw a couple of guys in Pro-Ams kind of wanting to try and make overtake moves at places that you're never going to overtake here at Barcelona.
Yeah, you obviously can't do it. You can't decide right now, okay, now's the move, You kind of have to line it up, especially at this track that has a corner that leads onto another corner. So it's very similar to Silverstone, where there's one section that one corner has basically three segments to it. So I think it's going to have to come down to sitting behind someone for at least 1 or 2 laps just to know where they're losing time and where you can sort of line up the next move,
Essa now firmly in the lead there, 142.2, 3/10 of a second up. We saw Oliphant earlier on in first place for seeding, now down in third. Jordan Sherritt within striking distance of the first 3 Porsches in fourth position. Quade Claessens, we're looking at him now in the 80k car in fifth. Morgan McCall, the first of the McCall brothers, in sixth, and Junior McCall, he's down in 15th. And just like you were saying, Marius, that the seeding really, it could be a way for the guys to strategize, to throw each other off as well. We can't really read too much into that by the looks of things.
Yeah, and I'm missing here, I don't know where he is Jason Upsmeyer. He's one of our top guys. He's normally in the top 4 or 5. I don't see him anywhere on that list. So I don't know if he's maybe not joined us today. He was on the seeding run, or if he's way down on that. I can't imagine sitting below than 23rd.
Yeah, I think I saw something along the lines of load shedding on him. Which is very unfortunate. It's impacting a fair number of our drivers today, unfortunately.
It's such nonsense, let's not get into that.
That's another debate for some.
I can commentate on politics for weeks.
Well, no politics here in third position for Leslie Oliphant. He's just driving his way to the podium spot, at least for the qualifying, as he comes through now the left, then the right hand here, this long corner where lots of patience has to be required. We're low now on board with Leslie Oliphant. Watch how wide he runs over here, right to the track edge, and now they're going to go through that complex section, miss the sausage curbs on each side, and then line it up perfectly for the final section over here onto the main straight across the finish line. And now 5.5 minutes to go, with the standings still pretty much the same, at least in the front for now.
Sherritt looking to make an improvement on his lap time, currently 0.3 up on his time.
Yeah, that's
which
good.
should put him into P3.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought the Audis would be a little bit quicker around here, especially in the hands of Jordan. He's got massive pace, and obviously we got excited with that Pro-Am result. So let's hope we do have a race on our hands here, because that's what we're really looking for. I don't want it to end up being Zayo running away with things up front. We didn't have that 2 weeks ago. But this little turn 1, we saw in the Pro-Ams too. It's not made for cars going side by side through there, but they're going to be in that position on the start. And it's so critical that everyone just gives each other enough space, because it is a set of complex right, left, right. And if you stick around, you can all make it through there. But I hope we're going to have a clear run. We did well in the Pro-Ams with that.
Yeah, I think the guys are just going to have to give each other space and just be respectful of one another. So, I'm hoping we don't see as many bumper bashes in this race.
There was plenty of that in the Pro-Am race, and as you were saying earlier on, Jonathan, the contact was never that hard, at least not for most of the incidents. But it's the kind of circuit where the guy sticks his nose in a place where he's not supposed to stick his nose in, and then you've got very light contact, both cars or one car spins out, and there we go, someone's race is doing. So
one incident where Corne Strauss, unfortunately, he got not unfortunately, but he got a fantastic run on King, who'd made a mistake in the final turn. And he took a bit of a eager gap, which was always going to close, and unfortunately knocked King, and he took the position. He received a 5-second penalty, and I spoke to him after the race. What he did was he thought he got a drive-through or stop-go. So he entered the pits from P2, and he stopped in his pit box, and unfortunately it was a mistake on his part. Which cost him quite dearly in that race.
Remember, we were all speculating because it looked like he was struggling to grip. We thought, did he stop for tyres? Because then he was back out again. So, he must be kicking himself big time. But, you're very polite though, Jonathan. It was big spin there, nice control. It wasn't even like it was a gap that was closing. By the time he got there was no gap. It was already closed. But I'm forcing my way through. But that was unfortunate for him because he ended up out of the points, and that was somebody that should have been, even with the 5-second penalty that you did give him, he probably would have finished in 4th and ended up finishing 15th because of that mistake. So, the guys are really sharp. I think you can get yourself panicked in like a 50-minute race. I've done something wrong, and it's just that's real pressure that happens.
Yeah,
So that 5 seconds gets added on obviously after the race.
Correct, yes, after the line.
Pulled into the pits and he was moaning about why did he penalise me twice? Because he came out from what he thought was his drive-through and then still had a 5-second time penalty.
What a shame. He's going to be absolutely kicking himself, at least until the next round. Maybe he can redeem himself at the next round. Kieran Patterson there in 6th place. That's a very good result for him. But someone that's also jumped one click is Leslie Oliphant, now in 2nd position, just behind Zahir Essa, who still sits on top of the leaderboard at the moment. Bashir Jadwat in 3rd place, and Jordan Shedder, the first of the Audis, in 4th.
Sure, Arno did some quick avoiding there. It looked like there was a Merc that was parking looking for a drive-through from McDonald's in that little complex. So some handy work there. Obviously the driver trying to give himself some space. Not sure who that was in the Merc. It wasn't Webb or Kadila, I don't think. Are there any other Mercs running? I don't know.
There is one more Merc that belongs to Grobla.
Yeah, so that was a bit kind of threw off Arno's rhythm there for sure.
Oh, what a pity. As we now look at Charles Wilkin, the man with the rich motorsport pedigree, in 10th place at the moment, 1 second down. And just look at that. 1 second separating the top 10 at this stage. I mean, that's not much time for this field. It just shows the field is really now starting to bunch up quite a bit as the guys start to maybe come to circuits that they know or maybe have been practice circuits for a long time. I think we can expect some close racing because we have seen that take place in the Pro-Am race. So hopefully today for the Pro race, we see the same.
I just think it's going to be interesting them trying to just pick their brake markers in the dark. This is going to be like an ESCOM circuit. There are no Singapore lights lighting up the way, so the guys are going to struggle with that. They know exactly where to jump on the anchors in daylight, and now they're going to be racing into the dark. So I think we're in for some very interesting racing with 35 seconds to go in quality.
35 seconds indeed, and not much else is going to change now. We've got Zahir Essa still on the top spot there. Charles Wilkin coming across the line there. Let's see if anything changes for him. No, still in 10th position. We've got Lodger now that's also jumped up a couple of positions. He is currently now, I saw his name a second ago.
See Jason Webb, so like the first of the Mercs is sitting in 11th.
11th, yes.
And Bruno Kadila all together 11th and 12th. But like we kind of predicted before the Pro-Am race, it was going to be a real Porsche battle today. And I mean, there we've got the first Audi in 4th and 8th and 9th. So it looks like that's where our winners are going to come from. Ferrari's way down the field. Look, a lot can change in the race, but what we've seen with the pros, it normally doesn't.
Yeah.
The form book is what you go with here if you're a betting man.
Well, the one car that is still on track, at least in the top 8, is Jordan Shedder. He's currently just under a 10th of a second up. He needs to get just under a 10th of a second if he's going to get into 3rd position and pip out Bashir Jadwat. That's the man to watch at the moment as he makes his way through the circuit, almost near the finish line. We're going to wrap this up soon, though. I'm keen to see what happens next with regard to Jordan Shedder's qualifying.
It will be a surprise when we come back.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait until we come back. We'll speak to you guys then. Stay tuned for the Pro race this week. It's going to be a crack. Oh, here we go. I sit nervously and rub my hands together as we look onto the grid. We are about 2 minutes away from these guys starting to move off and doing their warm-up lap. And just look at that. These are the best of the best when it comes to sim racing. We got Zahir Essa on the front row, joined by Jordan Sherritt in the Audi, the first of the Audis, and really the only Audi at the moment. His brother further down in 8th position in the next Audi. Leslie Oliphant in 3rd position. Bashir Jadwat early on the top spot, but getting pushed all the way down to 4th by some frankly very talented drivers in front of him. Quade Claassens just behind in the other 80k car. And Kieran Patterson, I think, doing a fantastic job of making it into the top 6. So, as we said earlier on, the same thing has happened here. There's been a bit of a shuffle, at least in the mid-pack to higher up. Charles Wilkin down in 10th position, and that's what we want to see, isn't it? We want to see new guys making their way through. We want to see some guys mixing it up, and we want to see some racing at the front of the pack.
No, I'm doing flick flacks because as we went to the ad break, we were talking about that Jordan seemed to be on a literally a hot lap at the death.
Yes.
And he went from 4th to 2nd. That is what I want to see, because we know Jordan is not going to be scared to put his elbows out, and that's what Zaya is going to need. I think there's going to be chaos and drama into turn 1, and that's what we want, because we need somebody that's aggressive, assertive, and has pace to kind of rattle Zaya's cage early on. So I'm happy that we've got Jordan on that front row.
I think so. And Jordan surely does have. We've seen it before. He has got an aggressive streak. He's got that motorsport background as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you've got to put your elbows out. Sometimes you've got to let them know that you're there. And he's the guy that I think can take the fight to Zahir Essa, at least mentally. But can he match him pace-wise as the cars go down onto the ground off the jack stands? Some of them back up again by the looks of it. There we go. And they're going to be making their way around the circuit in the next 20 seconds or so. For that warm-up lap, the drivers making final tweaks and adjustments now. They can set the fuel, they can set the tires, the pressures, all of those kind of things. But now we count down as we wait for the signal to be given for the warm-up lap for the pro race of this week's 80K Pro Series, of course, brought to you by Elgato Corsair AMD and our latest partner now, Sparko. And if you want to win some cool Sparko gear, you can check out our Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram if you're looking for some Sparko gloves. And these aren't just any gloves, these are proper simulation racing gloves for your sim. So if you're a sim racing fan, you might want to check out that competition.
I'm waiting for them to bring out commentators' gloves because I need them. I don't buy fucking nails. But you know what for me is so sad is, like, we know that the guys in the 12 races, they're 2 throwaway rounds. But I mean, obviously we mentioned earlier during qualifying, because we're sitting in flipping load shedding in this country now, it's affecting a couple of drivers. So they now are going to have to use a load shedding incident as a throwaway, which is absolute sadness for me. And I talk about Jason Upsmario, who's he's always in the top 4, top 5, not being able to race. It's absolute nonsense, and it has an impact on the season for sure. Like a real pity. But anyway, at least we've got lights on the cars, because Eskom can't put lights on our homes.
Yeah, indeed. And as the sun starts to set here at Catalonia, things are getting a bit dark and gloomy for the first time in this season. The drivers now having to contend with low light conditions. And so far, it's not too bad from inside the car, but I think it's going to get progressively worse. Some of the drivers have been doing simulation runs this week. And one of the areas that we foresaw some problems early on was this corner here. This is the downhill section. And Maurice, you mentioned you've been to the circuit. This has got a lot of undulations. It might not look like it from the game, but certainly up and down the circuit.
It's nuts. I mean, we were on this corner on the left. If you have a look where the marshals were standing there, bottom of front, that's where we were. We had full access because we were there with Monster and interviewing Valentino Rossi. But we walked up top here. This climb, it's radical. You cannot believe that undulation change. And coming up here at that marshal point, this is my favorite corner. You're watching the bikes go through their full power slide because the car gets super light through here because it's over the crest to the right and the tail just says hello, doesn't want to hang on anymore. So that's my favorite corner on the circuit, and massive undulation change. So people don't realize that when they look at it visually, but if you stand trackside, it's impressive.
Well, the drivers certainly can feel it, especially this area here. This is the tight hairpin left. and drivers have to get hard on the brakes, maximum braking pressure over there, threshold braking, as they say, and hustle those cars down to first gear. And we've seen a couple of mistakes in the Pro-Am race, so it's very difficult, Tasman, to brake hard on a downhill. We saw that at the Nürburgring as well.
Yeah, I think you can overshoot it very, very easily there. So you got to make sure that you know where your braking marker is, because if you do go that little bit past it, there's no chance of actually stopping the car in time. So yeah, it affects you a lot when you're on a downhill compared to when you're on an uphill or a flat surface.
Well, stopping is the last thing these guys want to do now. They want to go, go, go as we make our way now around the final corner. And the nerves. My voice cracked there. I'm so nervous for this one. The lights are on. The marshals are ready for action. The drivers are lined up, coming through the final corner. Cars still making their way around the bend now. The lights go green. Off they go. We've got Zahir Issa in the front over there. Alongside him, Jordan Sherrod, Leslie Oliphant in a third position. Bashir Jadwat now trying to sneak ahead into third. Looks like it. And look how close the Audi is to that Porsche over there. Porsche goes inside, Audi in the middle, Porsche on the outside. You said there was going to be touching.
I told you that's going to be a bit of contact. Brilliant racing. And there's mayhem in the back. Charles Wilkin took the sausage curb, got airborne. I think he's gone into the wall. But that is great racing, because that's door to door. I've got no issue with it. Let him know that you're there. Wow, what a start.
What a start. And look at the pressure now applied by both guys. We've got, that looks like Jadwat running a little bit wide there. He's going to get a look down the inside from Quade Claessens. Quade has a look there. We've got another Porsche coming through as well. Some racing happening. Quade just got overtaken there. There's Leslie Oliphant trying to work his way back. And in the front, things stayed the same. But Leslie Oliphant seems to have gotten that overtaking maneuver there.
It's hard to see in the dark. I mean, I call it the Charles Wilkin, but I see this might be another green Porsche. I don't know if that is Charles that's still running, but it was definitely a green Porsche through turn one that took some avoiding action. So I think Jonathan's going to be very, very busy. Not even one corner in, and the guys are coming together. But we saw that in Pro-Ams too. It's a very, very busy. Have a look. He's having a good look. Great move.
Oh, and that was the spot we were talking about earlier. That's where all the action was happening earlier on. And lo and behold,
yeah, it's the overtake spot for me on that section. But it's good that he's doing this early, because he's getting Zaya thinking, listen, I've actually got to watch, because where's this guy's coming? And he's not scared to have a go. Looks like he's lined that up very well. Good exit.
But Marius also in the dark, and you only see headlights, so you don't actually see where the car is exactly. So you don't really know how close they are.
True. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. It's hard for us as commentators too, because it's like, yeah, the guy with the two lights. Look at him. He's it's beautiful.
Look at that, man. What pressure now being applied there by Jordan Sherrod. Getting it so hooked up. He goes down the inside there, gives him a touch. Essa runs wide. Essa comes back to defend. Essa on the inside line there. Well done from him there to recover. What a drive from Zahir Essa, keeping that first place.
He's got the drive on him here. Look, he's having to go defensive. So this is great racing. Check him around the outside.
He's going to run wide there. Then, Jadwat has to look down the inside.
Yeah, but you can. You see, that's the line there. You can run it wide and you can still do the cutback. So it's not it's not the end of the world. But what I love about this is Zahir knows that he's got a battle. That incident, that door-to-door through there, going around the outside, brilliant. We've got a replay of the action down at the bottom, but I'm actually not even caring about that right now.
Was that Jason Webb that just got off there? I'm not sure that was where we saw white car go off. And a green Merc.
Was it a green Merc? I thought that was maybe I probably was. I thought that was
was that the turn one incident?
Yeah, that was Jason Webb's office all the way down now to 23rd position. And there's a big battle happening at the back there in 23rd position. Charles Wilkin and Jason Webb now fighting it out.
Yeah, so it was Charles. I saw the green car. I didn't know there was another green Porsche. So Charles went airborne and Webb. But I mean, Jason can't get a lucky moment in a race. So
and he might have load shedding today as well. So there's that. Back to the action up front we go, and we see Jordan Sherrod still applying the pressure. They're now coming under pressure from Bashir Jadwat himself, and Essa starting to eke out a slight lead, 0.5 seconds the gap now, and as they make their way to finish another lap.
But I mean, I'm hoping you'll reel that in. That was just for him having that aggressive run around the outside, so he's lost that time. So I'm hoping he'll be able to reel him in. And that Audi looks really fast in a straight line too, because look how he's closed up on him here. So I don't think it's a fact that Zahir's pulling away. I think it was just that very, very aggressive move that Jordan was going for around the outside. And it's good. It doesn't always work, but you've got a 50-minute race here. So you've got to let this guy keep knowing that you're there and you mean business. And you're not here just to be on the podium. You're here to go back-to-back with 2 race wins. So this is good.
Yeah, I think he needs to unsettle Essa a little bit, because he knows once Essa gets in a rhythm, he checks out.
Yeah.
So as long as you're diving and weaving behind him or trying to make maneuvers, he's going to get unsettled, and that's what we kind of want.
Yeah, we're looking at Versace now on the other screen over there. There's racing happening all over the circuit at the moment. Way down the grid there is Versace, well, way down in 9th position, but there's racing all the way through. Essa now at the moment in front there, 1 second up on his split time, but the same with Sherrod. Sherrod now applying the pressure onto Essa, and Essa responding. Both of them starting to go faster, and Bashir Jadwa doing the same, starting to apply pressure to the 2 of them. This is a cracker of a racing front. These guys are the 3 best sim racers in the country, at least 3 of the best, and they are absolutely applying the pressure. And who's going to give out first? That is the question. We haven't seen Essa crack yet, but is today going to be the day where Sherrod's going to be able to apply enough pressure as they now make their way to finish yet another lap?
Well, I want to throw in the early discussion point here around tyres, because we know that generally the Audi's been pretty good in terms of its tyre wear, and every time we speak to a Porsche driver, it's the one thing they moan about. Oh, I was on rails. I had no tyres left at the end. We're chattering. So we know that they struggle with that grip. So I don't think this is what Zaire wants, is blocking, defensive, trying different lines, heavy-handed braking, being pushed like this, because who knows, with 10 minutes to go in this race, it might be in the sweet spot again for the Audi to come back. So this is not what Zaire wants. But what I do love is this battle is bringing Bash along. Bash is just in the zone. We're on board with him now, looking at Jordan up ahead, looking at the different lines that the guys take through here. So they're bringing the other Porsches with. Leslie Oliphant, great qualifying run as well, and he's in there with a shout too. So this is great racing, but like we predicted, it is the Porsche show with a no Audi that's mixing things up. But again, I'm going to throw in Bruno Cadile. I mean, down in 8th. I mean, those Mercs, both of them qualified outside the top 10, but in the race, they seem to have a good race setup, that they're getting consistent points and ending up in the top 10. So nice to see him there as well.
Yeah, Bruno Cadile, definitely one of the guys to watch, and consistently fast, consistently placing well, and one of our drivers of the day recently, as the Audi runs a little bit wide there now. Jadwat seems to be getting even closer, inching closer to that Audi over there, but the man they both want to be chasing is first place. I don't think these two want to get into too much of a tussle here, because everybody knows once Zahir gets away, he stays away.
Yeah, but Zahir checking out at the moment. As we're saying, they're already in a battle, so it's almost like Jordan's having to watch his mirrors too much, and he's not really focusing on trying to catch the guy in front of him.
Phew. Well, speaking of guy in front, off goes Zahir Essa. The gap now 1.5 seconds to Jordan Sherrod, 1.6, and we're looking at now at Versace. Versace down in
the Audi,
ninth position.
He's running in 9th. Yeah. But you know, we saw this in the Pro, and what I love, I mean, if things start settling down a bit up front, but we're not going to be short of racing, because mid-pack was some of the most amazing racing in Pro-Ams a little bit earlier today. So we're in for a cracker race. I think, you know, as we start, like we've got that second live image now, having a look at what's happening 9th and 10th. This is a repeat of what we saw in Pro-Am. So he's racing throughout the field. Arno is having to go super defensive there under massive pressure from Basson, it looks like, in the Porsche in 10th place. So, you know, everyone wants to finish in the top 10, get as many points as they can. So, this is going to be a good battle to watch unfold.
Yeah, he's under pressure from Basson and trying to apply pressure to Bruno Cadile in 8th position over there. So
you're back with Cadile again, eh?
Yeah.
You want to cuddle him? It's Cadile.
Cadile, yes, of course. Yes. Cadile. My apologies, Cadile. We had it wrong. We had it wrong. We had it right. We had it right again. As we now go with Junior McCall, the younger of the McCall brothers, out-qualified by Morgan McCall, is now in 7th position, and he was looking really good in seeding. He does have decent race pace. I mean, to come from the Pro-Am straight into the pros and mix it up here in the middle with now it's Zander Roots and Grobla over here. Well done to Junior McCall, having quite a race on his hands in the 80K car, the Academy 80K car, of course.
But it's quite an interesting little discussion there too, because what's cool for me, it's like, where do you want to be? do you want to be dominating Pro-Am or do you want to be racing in pros? And I think the cool thing is for guys, he needed to move up, and he didn't have there wasn't a second rig, which is why he couldn't. Him and his brother were sharing, but he was dominant in Pro-Am, so he needs to be here. But what I'm enjoying in Pro-Ams, I'm seeing a lot of guys that are like running third, fourth, getting confidence up, building on their racecraft, and then taking that jump. Because when you do come to pros, it's gonna be a big step up. You're gonna find yourself like proper 14th, 15th place, having your battles there. So it's good to see Morgan adapting to racing with the Pro Series. It's a great overtake move. Turn one is a well-known overtaking spot, obviously, but all of that hard work was done on that exit of that chicane and onto the last corner and down on the straight. So well done.
Heineke made the most of that one there, getting all that momentum all the way down the strip and getting that position. As we now cut to that looks like Brent Lindsay Ray chasing down Henbury. Henbury, that's a new name. He's
been around, he's been in the pros for quite a bit, but it's obviously nice to catch up with the action a little bit further back. I think it's so easy we end up chatting at the top. I'm seeing a lot of penalties being handed out here, and I'm assuming that these all race bed, or they're yours, Jonathan?
The 15 seconds are mine, the stop goes are not mine.
Okay, so what was that? Was that incidents in turn one?
It's actually incidents in turn one was actually remarkable. I didn't expect it. I know we saw Wilkin shoot off there. I know we saw Webb shoot off to the side. They had a bit of a touch. And remember I said in the Pro-Am race how even though turn one is a tough turn, it's got that the sausage curbs on the left there that you could always bail out. So what happened was they came together and Wilkin took for the sausage curbs to save himself, which was the right thing, but it launched him directly across the track, and then Webb in that spun himself. So yeah, it's a very unfortunate. We'll take a look at it tomorrow night, but it's as of now it's a no further action.
And the incidents with Lindsay Ray, because I'm seeing they've got 15 seconds.
Yeah, that's what at the end of that back straight with breaking into the hard apex, the hard turn there.
There is racing happening all over the circuit. Jason Gray getting past Cody Sherritt. We're now on board with Versaghi. Steyn is having a battle further back. So many battles taking place on the circuit here. This is what we come to expect from this type of racing. This is what we've come to expect today as we now look at Versaghi putting some pressure on Kadile and Xander Besson in the background, waiting for his opportunity to take advantage of what's about to go down here. This is for the 9th and 10th position. As we now go on board and just look at how closely is the light starting to shine brighter as they make their way through that fast sweeping right-hander. The Mercedes-Benz going a little bit wider here. Here's the hard braking area we were talking about earlier, hard on the brakes now into the very tight left-hander. And any tiny mistake, just like that, can cause a problem as Carly seems to run a little bit wide there. Might have lost a little bit of pace.
Yeah, I think he needs to be a little patient here and actually just set this one up for down the main straight. But he kind of needs to stay in the guy's toe so he can get dragged down with it.
But it's a tricky corner that, Ernest, because you under braking, you actually want to run it deep because the next corner is the left-hander. So the deeper you go, the straighter the left-hander into that long double apexing right-hander. So Kadila's line through there was actually pretty sweet, and we've seen what guys do when they do that. They can also defend any overtake with a guy trying to dive up the inside because the next corner, the long corner, is a right-hander. They can keep themselves well positioned, and it's kind of securing themselves there as well. So it's a good line through there. But I think the guys are ready. I mean, this is like no blink moments now.
Absolutely.
You let as much light in so you can see what's going on. Very easy to miss a brake marker. And when you are in the pros and you're on the edge, I mean, missing it by a millimeter is going to see you running wide and handing a position to your competitors. So this is a good little battle. We actually, way back now, having a look at Kieran Patterson, you were saying, who's been impressing you as well. I mean, he's overall standing as well. He's been really, really consistent, and he's all over the back of Quade Claassens here. So this is good. Yeah, he made a little mistake there, and that's just going to bring Morgan McCall into it. So it's
Morgan McCall has a look down the inside. Morgan McCall has a look down the inside. I think there was a very slight contact there. Very, very slight contact. But, wow. That was a good move.
That's not a place.
That was a move,
That was
though.
a brave move. That
I don't think that was a brave move. I think that was a stupid move. Kieran Patterson saw it coming. And actually
It's only a stupid move if you don't pull it off.
no, but you know what? If Kieran held his line there, that was contact, and they were both in trouble. So I think Kieran just kind of saved Morgan's bacon there, because that is not a place to overtake.
Kieran flashing his lights there. He's not happy about that, and now falling back. Morgan might have had the pace on him there, as McCall now starts to stretch a little bit of a gap and start to catch up with Quaid. Quaid's going to be happy about all of that. He's the big winner in that little tussle, as we now go to Arno Versace in the Audi chasing down Cadile, and these guys still running Lineston with the Porsche chasing down of Zander Basson. And look at how dark it's getting.
That Audi seems to have the top end, but that Merc is coming out of that final corner really, really well. That little complex, he's really got it well lined up, and that's what's making sure that he's not under pressure come turn one. So Hila's really got those two critical corners lined up perfectly. We can see Basson going on a wider line through there again, one of those corners that you can run slightly wider, and even through the different lines that the guys like to take. But this is good racing. For me, I think the pace lies with the Audi, but it's a difficult circuit to get past, because you've got to get into a rhythm and line yourself up for a move, but the move can't just happen anywhere because of the flowing nature of the track.
Indeed, and also because these cars are faster in different spots. The overtake could be so tricky. Like you said earlier, Marius, if you line it up on the straight, but the car that you're lining it up on is faster down the straight, you got yourself a problem. And we're seeing that starting to unfold now. But this is where strategy comes in, and a little bit of a mistake there from Versace. Sees him fall back off of Cadile there, and now getting another look down the inside is the Porsche. The Porsche has a look down the inside. Yes, he gets it.
Now watch it. If he stays here, watch it. He won't have it. If he stays here, he can. We saw that in the previous race. If he actually just stays on the outside, he can really block off that move, because he's ending up on the right-hander coming in. Remember, we watched in Pro-Am. It happened twice. I kept on saying, that's the move done. And then the guy ended up being able to come back and defend it. So I'm surprised that Versace maybe just couldn't get on the power early enough there, but I thought he was going to be able to secure that and defend that overtake move. But that's a great move. Late on the brakes, committed on the brakes, and enough space to go 2 cars through that corner.
Well, it's that type of corner, isn't it? I mean, you can go in late on the brakes, so you just got to hope for the best that the guy around your outside doesn't exactly turn in on you, and you're guaranteed to make the position happen.
No, it's a good overtake spot there. I think that's kind of where you want to line it up. Turn one's quite hard, because you're actually carrying quite a bit of speed through turn one. It's not a stop and turn. So, I think the guys are kind of struggling. We saw 1 or 2 moves happen in Pro-Ams, but I think it's going to be quite difficult for the pros. Like Ernest, you were saying, you do all the hard work, and the guy gets onto the straight, and he's got better top end, and cheers, you're gone, And so is Zaire at like nearly 4 seconds lead. So that great battle we were watching for 3 laps is kind of fizzling out right now. But hey, let's see what happens in terms of tyres. But we know Zaire is experienced enough to be able to manage that. But Jordan certainly isn't being given any opportunity to relax and manage his tyres, because Bash is all over the back of him, as is Kieran Patterson all over the back of Morgan McCall. And we saw that flashing the lights. He was very grumpy with what he felt was a super aggressive move through that turn 9 we're looking at in the back. So I'm sure he's feeling a little bit aggrieved.
Oh, Morgan.
Morgan runs wide there, gets a look. That is, oh my goodness, he gets it. He gets it. And McCall now falls back once again. Patterson in front now, once again trying to hunt down Quaid Claessens, and I think neither of them is going to be happy with that.
No, that was very clever actually from Patterson, because he kind of got in Morgan's mirrors. Morgan obviously looked in the mirrors and outbraked himself a little bit, and Patterson got the move for free.
Yeah, and it's also, I suppose it's good, Taz, the flashing of the lights now, they don't really work at midday in the half-felt sunshine. But at night, you know what it's like driving. That's going to blind you, and it gives you a moment just to look, and that's all you need is that moment to miss your brake marker. So, it was also a good move by Kieran. He's back where he feels he rightly should be. So I think Quaid can brace for some proper racing, because those two are going to be chasing him down.
I think Sherritt might have made a mistake. We've got Bashir Jadwat now much closer to Sherritt. The gap now looks like 7/10 of a second. It was slightly bigger earlier on. And if you look on the screen there, you can see that, they can actually, the ATK car just behind has got his sights set firmly on Sherritt. And Bashir has been known to be quite patient, quite consistent. Can he, over the next couple of laps, inch closer on that Audi? Was that Audi just fast for the first part of the race? Was that Audi just fast in qualifying? We're going to find out soon enough, because the car was, in my mind, he's the only Audi up front there. So Is it something, was there a trade-off made to get those first initial laps at that pace?
Oh, we've heard them 2 weeks ago screaming for fuel. I remember.
Yeah.
Gordon was telling his brother, so we know the guys can feel light, but I think it'd be bizarre to feel light in a dry race like this. The guys might take their chances in the wet race because you're not running at the same RPM, so you are going to be burning less fuel. But I think it'd be silly to fiddle with setups like that. And I think also to go and set your car up for a sprint race when you know you've got 50 minutes, you're going to be the hero for 10 minutes and then end up plummeting as the race progresses. So I don't know. I don't think that's the case. I just think Bash has been really, really consistent and fast. I think we've seen honest, good race pace here from both of them. Zaire is just, we know what he's like. Taz mentioned it earlier. When he gets into the rhythm, he's hard to beat. And this is a rhythm circuit where you need to be consistent because it is flow. Any little mistake here just impacts 3 or 4 corners down the road as well. And he's in the zone now, Zaire.
Well,
I think Jordan had to sort of be aggressive on those first opening laps to try and get Zaire. And it's kind of something he tried to do and obviously wasn't successful in it. And now Zaire's just broken that gap and he's kind of just checked out. And every lap he's going that little 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. So, yeah, I think Jordan tried to do what he thought he needed to do, which everyone thought he needed to do, and it just didn't pay off at this moment. But Bashir is also, like you say, he's consistent lap for lap, and he's in the spot that he needs to be in, and I think he's just biding time and hoping that he can eventually get past Jordan at a later stage.
Great cut by our director Daniel as well, because we said Kieran will be back on the back of Quade Claessens. Yes, I mean, it was a little mistake that he made in this little complex where Morgan got past him, and it's taken him 2 or 3 laps to get back past Morgan, get back into the rhythm, and get back on the tail of Quade. So a man on a mission. Kieran's looking really good and showing great racecraft. That overtake that we saw him do 1 lap earlier on Morgan through there, that tight left-hander, really, really sweet racing. So I'm expecting a pass coming up pretty soon on Quade as well. And you'll have a look at him here down the straight. We know they're both going to be running very similar setups, so the top end's going to be very similar. So it's all going to come down to this. Who gets out of this corner right to take that final corner and get maximum drive down the start finish?
Well, Kieran Patterson certainly is he's impressing me today, that's for sure. An impressive showing from him in 6th place now, going for the 80k car in 5th. And man, what a drive from him in these conditions, no less. And we saw early on the in-car shot, I mean, his technique is very smooth. It's very good. So Kieran Patterson, definitely someone to watch. He hasn't featured much in our chats in the last couple of races, but certainly someone I'll be watching out for in the upcoming races.
I'm trying to remember, didn't he win a race? Was it a Pro-Am race?
It would have been a Pro-Am race then.
I'm pretty sure, but I mean, that's what was so surprising is you have a look at his where he stands in the overall standings. He's right up top there because he's being consistent. So it's weird. You're often talking about 1, 2, 3, and 4, but there's a guy that's finishing 6th or 7th every single race. And with the way that the 80k Pro Series works with points, that's a proper points haul. You know, there's not massive gaps between all the guys. So he's been super consistent. We're back in the field now, back from 12. So we're on board with Xander Ritz having a look at Krobler in the Merc up ahead of him. And it looked like the same thing with Kadile. We know that Merc doesn't seem to be handling that well. That's not a place. No, that's very, very naughty. Xander. Very, very naughty. That's good timing though.
Dives down the inside. Dives down the inside. That was a lunge right there. That was a lunge. That is the very definition of a lunge.
That was the lunge that Tasman probably would have tried to attempt as well.
But you would have pulled it off though. You would have pulled it off.
So I would have gone in a little bit deeper.
Well, speaking of lunging, he's getting lunged at by, looks like Albertine now. Albertine gets the position and Roots might have got some damage there. Let's hope he hasn't got some permanent damage. These cars are quite sensitive. If you do get into a collision like that, it does cause some problems sometimes. Not big problems, but certainly can throw someone off their game. Or
the only damage that's going to happen is serious time that he's going to be given, because that's definitely going to be a penalty. That's like a no-go zone for me. We're talking about those corners. They're not traditional overtaking places. It's more about getting as close as you can so you can get to the place to overtake. That's not a spot, and that's not even a lunge. That's just desperate. So I think we're going to find him getting a drive-through penalty, getting issued as well, which we love, because then it's clear and done and it has its impact and he gets punished accordingly. So that's good. I like to see that.
Well, Cody Sherritt in 19th position, uncharacteristically, plus Looks like he's got a stop-go penalty as well. And what a shame. This is a disastrous race for him over here. He's not going to be happy with that. He usually does have at least top 10 pace.
Yeah.
And Cody Shedid now blazing those lights, trying to make his way through the field. Now he's got, looks like Sean Mumford in front of him there in 18th position. Mumford also battling, he's got a very bad flu, and he's been in and out of the room this week, trying to get some practice in. So Sean Mumford pushing through some tough times there in 18th position.
Well, also tough times. I mean, there in 28th is Etienne Kleb. I mean, our race winner 2 weeks ago in Pro-Ams drove like a superstar in that Aston Martin in the wet. It's a big jump up from there back to the pros. He's obviously made a mistake as well. Looks like he's got a 15-second penalty, which Jonathan would have issued to him for getting something wrong. But again, I mean, it's amazing. 2 weeks ago, yay, top of the podium, legend. But that's the difference between Pro-Ams and pros. The guys pedal here. But to be fair, you know, we weren't expecting to see the Aston at the top. Yes, we did in the Pro-Ams and finished in second place with Leon Leroux. But yeah, this is no surprise. But it's just interesting how racing works, you know. Top of the podium 1 week and bottom of the list the next week.
Unbelievable. That is racing, that old phrase. That's racing. We've got Ferrari lunges down the inside there. They make contact. Oh my goodness, that's Byron Walker. Oh!
I've got no problem with that. Why is he stopping? Don't let him go. It was a great move.
Byron Walker makes contact with the Aston Martin. Oh, this is great. You guys are going to disagree about this one already. I love it.
Getting him back pass, he actually did the move. He was up the inside of him and the guy turns into him. I'll watch that again. I promise you.
Byron Walker lunges down the inside, knocks Brent Lindsay-Ray, who's got a 15-second penalty. I was about to ask you what would happen in that situation for you, Tasman. Would you let the guy go past? The Porsche goes sideways there. The 80 contacts, evasive maneuvers. Floyd Claessens or Morgan McCall gets past Kieran Patterson, who gets a little bit sideways there. So easy to do in these Porsches. So easy to do. Very good recovery. As Byron Walker having another look at Brent Lindsay-Ray further back down the field. That battle continuing further back.
They could bash over the back of all over the back of Jordan here. So this is
unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Look at that.
Putting pressure on it.
So much pressure. So many battles happening all the way through the field. But this one right up front here, Bashir Jadwat and Jordan Shedid now having a bit of a tussle here. Bashir clearly got the pace to catch up, but hasn't been able to get past though.
But I mean, this is just helping Zahir. I mean, he's like 7.5 seconds ahead up the road, so that's him done. So this is the racing we need to watch. But it was a good question you asked, Taz. I mean, I think, yeah, if you know, oh my word, I messed that up, definitely give the position back. But that for me looked like a fair overtake. You know, they were side by side going in there. I don't know, Taz seemed to think that maybe he came a bit late. I don't know, Taz, but that corner, you can go 2 cars through there. So,
yeah, for sure.
They hit door to door. They didn't hit him on the rear, you know.
No, they did hit door to door, but if you watch him, then they were already kind of finished in the braking zone, and he kind of felt like the guy in front of him came to a complete stop. So I don't know if he tried to take like evasive action, and that's why he went up the inside. He obviously felt like he did something wrong, so that's why he's kind of left the door to get taken back, you know. But I don't know, we'll have to see that incident again. We might have an argument tomorrow, Mario.
Yeah, I'd much rather in that situation, go ahead, continue with my race and fight about it afterwards, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't a deliberate, like, I know, under braking, oops, sorry, and I've tapped you on the rear and I've spun you, different story. But if I'm going door to door in contact with somebody, I never ever give up a position. You know what I mean? That's racing, that's fair.
Well, speaking of fair, Patterson now having another look down the inside of Morgan McCall. These two going at it. Hammer and tongs the entire time, back and forth, not giving an inch, and a little bit of argy-bargy happening there earlier on, but the racing now, for now, is clean between these two as they make their way now through the final complex. This, of course, for 6th position.
Oh, it's so unfortunate, though, because I think Kieran's got real race pace, and we've seen him make 2 little mistakes, and both of those mistakes have seen Morgan get past him. Then he's got the pace. It takes him 2 or 3 laps to get back on the back of Morgan, get past him, and then chase down Quaid. So at the end of the day, it's just unfortunate because he's just making those little mistakes that are costing him every single time, because he's got real pace and he should be sitting in that top 5.
Indeed.
Yeah, but if you're watching him and you're watching the characteristics of this car, I think he's really struggling with the rear end. Like, it just looks like it's just too loose. So sometimes just catching him out a little bit, and he's obviously like going into half a spin and he's losing all that time. He's just caught back. So I think he's having a setup issue at the moment, and I think he's just trying to figure a way to drive around it right now.
Ted, you were saying when you were doing that setup lap, I mean, that was just in a stock standard, no setting done on the car, and how tail happy it is, keen to rotate, and that's a problem because a lot of these corners you actually want to carry a bit of speed into it, and then you can't. You almost got to stop it, turn it, and rather work on the drive out. So it changes your driving style completely, and that's only going to get worse as the tires go off because the rear is just going to get more and more lively.
Yeah, and when you're in a race, that's the last thing you're thinking about. You want to drive up on the person in front of you. You want to roll more corner speed. You want to, like, you start getting a little bit too excited, and then that's where you end up having to catch the car more than you would want, you know, because it's just way too loose.
Bashir Jarwad now having a very good look at the Audi here. This could be the spot. He's trying to make sure to get the run onto the straight here. How's the Audi though on the straight? We know the Audi's fast. Bashir Jarwad hunting down that slipstream. That is Sherrod trying to make sure that he doesn't get into it. One move and one move back. Now they're making their way into the first corner. Is Bashir going to be able to have a look? I think he's too far. Hard on the brakes they go. Through the right-hander, back through the left. And Bashir's still trying to line things up here, still trying to make sure to get close. He's able to get close, as you can see over here, but just not able to get past. And I don't think it's going to happen in the next two corners at least.
Well, look, I mean, I can't believe how fast this has gone by. It's a 50-minute race. We've got 20 minutes to go. And normally we would say we're heading into the twilight zone because it's when the tires start going off, but we literally are in the twilight zone. It's pitch flipping black as well. So this is going to be doubly interesting for us because this is the part where the guys start struggling with grip, and now they're definitely struggling with sighting the braking markers as well. And like Tasman said earlier, so easy with the light dazzle in your eyes, hard for you to see where is the guy, how far back is he, do I need to go defensive? Just can't read the car, so it's really stressful for the drivers.
Well, especially for Sherrod at the moment. He's getting a lot of pressure from Bashir Jarwad. He's got Porsche lights all over his rearview mirror, and well done for him for keeping his composure for now. Still 20 minutes of racing left as Bash runs a little bit wide there, outbrakes himself ever so slightly, and that's what you were saying now, Marius. You got to get those brake markers right, mate.
It's also very easy in that situation because you're getting sucked into the guy in front of you, and like he brakes, I'm going to brake, but I mean that's too late.
Indeed,
you know, that's that half a meter too late, and you end up running a bit deep there. But if he is going to run deep, that's the corner to do it in, because you're not going to get heavily punished. It's a very deep braking marker. We've seen guys going 2 through there. You can into that complex. So yeah, he's not going to be punished too hard for that. So that's cool.
Yeah, I think the Audi definitely has the run out of the main straight over there, and we're going to be seeing a lot more of that racing as we now cut to Steyn in the Ferrari in 16th position, the first of the Ferraris, chasing down Grobler in the Mercedes-Benz. The Mercs,
what a comeback drive by Jason. I remember he was down up 24th or 25th, and he's worked his way through there to 14th. I mean, you have a look for Charles Wilkin. That hasn't happened for him. He was kind of still sticking down there. I don't know where Charles is. Charles in 18th. So that's a great drive by Jason. So flipping well done, because I mean, like we said, he doesn't seem to. The racing gods don't love him. He really gets caught up in all of the bad incidents. It's not always his fault, but that's a good comeback drive. I think he'll be trying to push hard to get into the top 10.
Well, Zander Roots with a 15-second penalty just in front of him, so that means that he will go up to at least 13th position for now. And Junior McCall further down the road as we now cut to Zander Roots himself. Is that that's McCall there going through the slip road there? We were talking about the sausage curbs earlier on. Taking that slip road is McCall. He's allowed to do that. He hasn't gained any advantage by the looks of things. Jason Webb. Jason Webb goes inside, takes what looks like 13th position there.
Great move. I mean, you see the experience of a drift guy there, because to hold that tighter line, you could see how he was fighting the car. That Merck's kind of saying, no, buddy, I actually would like to run a little bit wider here. But I mean, he's got such good car control. He's happy to go sideways, and that for me was a fantastic move. Through that right hand, a different line taken there. Well done, Jason.
I tell you what, I'd love to go on board with Jason and see his steering wheel, because his car control is actually quite phenomenal. I've been sitting on board with him a little bit.
He doesn't have a steering wheel,
and he
can get better turning.
Yeah.
His car control is just very, 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 very good.
Yeah. No, that was great to see. Kieran Patterson trying to obviously come back to terms with Morgan McCall. But again, I mean, Morgan's just consistent. He's just, if a guy makes a mistake, thank you, I'll take that position. And that's why he's also sitting high up in our overall standings, because he's consistently being in the top 10, normally around 7th or 8th place. And this race is no different. And that's going to make it interesting come the end of the season.
But is Morgan actually catching Claessens at the moment, or
no?
No,
it looks like the guy who had the pace was Kieran Patterson. He was always closing right onto the back. So, you got your wish. You're on board with Jason Webb. Seen fiddling around with some back.
Oh, here we go. Jason Webb now going down.
What looks like the tire smoke.
Yeah, no tire smoke in the car this time for him as he makes his way into the first right hand over here. And Mercedes-Benz can grab a lot more curb there. Just look at all that curb he grabs over there. All those slight adjustments that he makes, absolutely necessary. He really does have a way of riding the rear tires of the car. Now, not always the fastest way around a circuit like this with a car like this because of his experience, but he is developing himself to be able to read the front tires as well as he does the rear.
Yeah, you see,
I don't know, this car looks pretty controlled. It doesn't look like it's got understeer or oversteer right now.
He's really good. He's got this thing dialed in. But I mean, Junior's going to start feeling the pressure. We haven't mentioned Junior's 12 years old, and behind him is South African drift champion, a guy with a massive amount of competitive experience. So it's going to be a real challenge for Junior. I think he'll be loving it. He'll know who's behind him for sure. And this is great. That's what I love about this, is that it's all walks of life going door to door. It's great.
Well, Jason gets the run here into the left-hand hairpin. He's on the outside here. Junior McCall on the inside. He's going to try and make sure not to touch there. We saw so many coming together early on. Jason takes the road less traveled there, runs a little bit wide. But
he's being patient, but that Junior now knows, whoa, I must watch now, because next time I guarantee you he's going to go the inside. So he's already...
Junior was very good there as well. He did leave enough room for a car around his outside. He actually kept that corner a little bit tight just in case Webb wanted to actually go around the outside. So good driving from Junior as well.
So he's a 12-year-old. Incredible.
As you guys said, it must be terribly difficult here, John. It must be incredibly difficult on the game. I myself haven't driven much at night in the game, especially not at a competitive level. You've got somebody in the back and all you see are flashing lights. I mean, this must be absolutely hair-raising for the young McCall.
Yeah, it is a slightly different experience than racing in the day, but those lights actually give you a great sense of where the guy is. So you can almost sense where he is slightly better than in the daytime.
Wow.
Obviously, your vision is slightly more impaired at night, but when you're driving the game, you don't battle to see where you're going. The lights are very good on these cars.
No, that I'm happy with. That I believe. But I mean, what is the rear dazzle like? I mean, what do you see if you look back to see in your mirrors? That's what I was trying to, and Taz was saying as well. It's hard for you to judge the distance because you can't really see the car. You'll just see the lights, and you don't know, is he coming? Is he not? The visibility on board is amazing. I mean, the lights are really good.
It's not too bad. I mean, it can freak you out a little as well, because what happens is you will.
Whoa, Bash has gone off there.
Oh my goodness. Bashir Jadbot, our third place man, off there. Leslie Oliphant trying to make sure that he gets within striking distance there. No harm, no foul at the moment. And Bashir still in third position, but Leslie Oliphant will be hunting him down, I'm sure.
Listen, it's a nightmare for us as commentators too, because I'm trying to see, there's another car that Jordan's coming up and I've got no idea who it is. But it looks like Jason's got past. Did Jason got past?
No, not yet.
No, not yet.
He's working on it though. He's working on it.
Hang on. Oh, that's Morgan. Okay. I see where we are now. I'm losing my way completely here. So Morgan has closed on, to answer your question, Taz. Yeah, Morgan has right onto the back of Quaid. So, and brought Kieran along. So this is going to be a fun battle. 12 minutes to go. Hey, the guys are going to be struggling for grip, but they're all on Porsches, so they're all going to have the same bitching and moaning about having no tyres left. So no one's got an advantage here.
Kieran Patterson a little bit further back, but Morgan McCall certainly within striking distance of Quaid Claessens. He's going to try and have a look.
Have a look. It's Kieran who's all over the back of
Oh,
Morgan.
here we go. Kieran getting there. Yes.
Oh, Morgan
Kieran
made
in
a bit
there.
of a mistake. Morgan was on the back of Quaid. It looks like he made a bit of a mistake.
Oh, he runs wide. Morgan runs wide. Oh, Kieran gets down the inside now. Who's going to get the line for the next left-hander? Kieran gets the line. Kieran takes the position. And McCall, we were just saying a second ago, McCall looking good, but losing out once again. And this time, though, fair and square.
You know, it's funny. I mean, we were saying that's what's been holding Kieran up, and Morgan's been so consistent. They went and made 2 little mistakes, and Kieran's back up front. But I mean, it's like deja vu. We've spoken through this a few times now because that's where he passed him last time as well. So it's like if Kieran can just keep it tidy now and just not make mistakes, like Taz was saying, looks like he's struggling with rear grip. If he can just try and focus and get back on the back of Quade Claessens, I do think he's got the quicker pace because they've fallen back, and every time they've been able to close back on Jet. Jason Webb now all over the back of Junior McCall. So the McCalls are thick in the action at the moment. Rob Steven and Circuit to Catalunya.
Oh, just look at that. Jason Webb, both of them going on the sand there. Jason Webb right over the back bumper of Junior McCall now. The pressure is real as Junior McCall runs ever so slightly wide. They're now going through the very tight, complex section here. And
ocular view is that special. Put your binocs on.
Wow, what a cool look. That just looks amazing.
I want to take this to Sandy. He's got it. He's got the drag. There we go. That's overtake done down the straight. So he's got the secured. That's great driving by Jason. We saw Junior obviously making a little bit of a mistake there, and all Jason needs to do is make sure he nails the brake marker, which he does, and that's him up into 12th position. So that's fantastic. I'm quite interested to see, with not much time left, 10 minutes to go, how far he needs to go to get up to 10th. I don't know what those gaps are. Oh no, it's massive, 21 seconds. So that's pretty much where Jason's going to finish. The gap is just too big to the guys up ahead of him, but that's a great comeback drive from 25th.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. He's going to be happy with the recovery, but unfortunately not so happy with how that all started out. Staying in the Ferrari, the first of the Ferraris in 15th position there, getting a little bit of harassment there from Grobler in the Mercedes-Benz. We've got an Audi behind Steyn, looks like it. I think these guys have just swapped positions because on the screen, they just swapped positions. Yeah, Zanderroot's got overtaken there by Marcus Steyn.
Yeah, I mean, we know Zander's still got that penalty as well, so he's going to bring Charles and all those sort of guys up there. So, yeah, not what he wants. He needs to not be losing positions to try and offset that 15-second penalty that's going to be added at the end of the race. But, action all round, eh?
Action all around, and the sun is now, it's gone now. It is nighttime. These guys are driving. There aren't much lights on the track to speak of as Zahir Issa carves his way through the field there. I think that was Byron Walker that he just overtook there in the Ferrari. Yes, it was. And Zahir Issa carving his way now through a couple of back markers. 11 seconds down the road is
Marshall, Ernest. You see him waving his blue flag. No, see something flapping in the side. I mean, it's like.
I think so. He's used to seeing blue flags getting waved as he comes down the road, but not for him though. For the guys in front of him, as he now sets his sights on the next car. This looks like Sean Mumford over here, but Sean Mumford is one lap down, so this is not a race that he's going to want to get entangled with.
We need to get onto the Kieran Patterson Quade Claessens battle, 0.3. So Kieran's close right up to the back of Quade. So that's going to be a good battle. They've kind of dropped Morgan, who's fallen off. We're still with Zahir, who's obviously carving his way through. Here we go. So Kieran all over the back, director, all over the back of Quade Claessens. Got a back marker doing the right thing, getting well out of the way. Looked like a Ferrari that was taking evasive action there. That's good driving, but this is going to be a good little battle. So this is what Kieran was trying to do probably 15 laps ago.
For the entire 42 minutes.
Yeah, it's kind of like he keeps resetting the same isn't it?
He's literally like, Quade, I'm back. Let's try this again. We've got 8 minutes left. Let's figure this out.
Oh, man. Yeah, look at it. And the interesting thing is, I mean, Leslie's not too far. Leslie is actually 10 seconds up ahead. So this is kind of as far as Kieran's going to go. So he's targeting a 5th place finish at the moment, unless something else happens up front. But this is the real battle for him.
Certainly does have the pace. Look how much curb he grabs. He grabs a little bit more curb. This time, not so much. But early on, I saw him grabbing a little bit more curb than some of the other guys. And you guys were saying the car's unstable.
Check the drive he's got here. This is actually going to be so perfect going into this right.
Yeah, that's not really an overtaking place.
I know, but he's going to do that. He's going to let
He's just going. He's like, buddy, I'm here.
I'm here.
Letting you know I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay. But now this is where he was making his mistakes, and there's a back marker to get in the way. This was where he made his mistake the first time around. He outbraked himself here, and then the second time around he lost the back end through this heavy underbraking, downhill, easy to get the back to brake on this rotation as you try and come on the power and climb up the hill. So he nailed it that time. So I'm expecting some action under the heavy braking into that left-hander. It's going to be good.
So close of these guys. Oh, look at that. He's got, he's close. He's close, but he doesn't have a run down the hill though. Although the Porsche does go defensive, the 80k Porsche goes defensive as the flames come out of the back of that car there.
Wow, good. This is good racing. I love the onboard stuff as well. You just realize the tunnel vision that the drivers are in. I mean, it's so hard for you to, you're not looking left or right, just focusing, but you've still got to know where you are on the track, where the apex and the turning points are, where the brake markers are. So this is some impressive driving by our pros. Great to watch.
I think W Series, some of W Series drivers should be watching this racing right now.
Why is that?
The amount of direction changes some of these girls do in a straight line is actually ridiculous.
Women don't have direction generally.
No, Marius.
Well, speaking of direction, let's hope they both go in the right direction. Yeah, as they go down the into the first corner there, that's Kieran Patterson trying to have a look now, and Quade Claessens goes defensive. Quade Claessens no stranger to pressure, that's for sure. He's been doing league races for many seasons, and one of the 80k pro drivers, so he's got experience with this type of thing. But will he have enough experience as we now cut to Leslie Oliphant in fourth position? Is this him? Oh my goodness, he's caught up to Bash. Bashir now getting some pressure from Leslie Oliphant, and this is an unexpected turn of events.
Yeah, and like what I'm loving, they're also getting caught up with back markers now, so it's so difficult. You're like, please just get out the way. And the guys also, for them, I mean, trying to make sure they don't get involved in battles that they shouldn't be. But this is exciting. We said Leslie was having such a quiet, boring race. We hardly mentioned his name. Well, for the next 5 minutes, we're probably going to be talking a lot about him as he puts Bashir Jadwat under some real pressure.
And this is for third position. This is for the final podium spot. How do we always end up in this position, guys? There's always
10 minutes to go. These guys somehow manage to find someone to dance with on track, isn't it?
And Kay Patterson on the other live feed over there. The racing is thick and fast all the way through the grid with just 5 minutes to go or less than. And these two screens you see in front of you are two of the best battles happening so far. One for third position and one for fifth. So just up the road from each other. Who will it be respectively? We're going to have to wait and see. 4 minutes to go.
Chaz, what's quite interesting, I mean, if you remember, Bash was sitting right on the back of Jordan and involved in that little battle for the first couple of laps. Leslie was kind of on his own. And I wonder if Bashir hasn't worked his tyres a little bit too hard, and Leslie's been able to just consistently put in the lap times, and that's what's brought him in here, because it's quite a big drop of pace that we've seen from Bash. We saw him make that mistake through turn 1 and 2. And now under real pressure. So I wonder if he hasn't just overcooked his tyres, because we know that's what happens with 10 to go. But everyone pushes here, so it should be pretty consistent.
I'm not quite sure what's happening with Bash. He's 2 seconds down at the moment on his normal pace and going even slower. So there's definitely seems to be a problem there. I'm not sure if him going off early on caused any damage on the car, but Bash certainly down on the pace at the moment now and getting immense pressure from Oliphant as we make our way to the final part of this race.
Bash has told us a couple times that his car just doesn't seem to manage the tires as well as the other Porsches for some reason. He always complains about tire management, and so maybe you're right, Marius. Maybe just driving behind Jordan and trying to put too much pressure on Jordan, he just cooked them too quickly.
Yeah. Another nice battle here, Christos Pesson. Looking at Arno Fasaki up ahead, and just ahead of that is Bruno Cadile. So this is great. So 3 minutes to go. Somebody's touched a bit of dirt. That's Bruno running wide in the Merc. I'm sure it is. I don't think it's a back marker, is it? Maybe it is.
Yeah, it is one of the back markers. Yeah, Bruno Cadile is slightly further up the road. As the Porsche runs wide, Basson runs wide as well there. And a car rejoins. Oh my goodness, a dangerous rejoin there from someone. And this is not ideal. Bit of a dangerous rejoin there.
Difficult for the guys to see where they're going, so that's kind of ruined it for Christos, because he was right on the back of Arno Fasaki, and the back markers have kind of ruined that little battle for him.
Yeah, unfortunately, that one is not one that we will see unfolding. Plenty other racing, though, that is unfolding, and this one here being one of the major battles with major implications. Bashir Jadwat currently in second position in the championship. He's going to want to scoop up as many points as he can. 2 minutes to go now, coming under immense pressure from Leslie Oliphant in fourth position in the number 8 car. Porsche battle taking place here as well.
And a back marker. So this is, again, I mean, the closing stages of this race, you're battling to, well done. Drivers got out of the way nicely there, so that hasn't had any impact. But it does mess with your head. So, I mean, as you're lining up the corner, you're trying to find your brake marker. You've got lights behind you. You know you're under pressure. You're just hoping that you catch the guy at the right part of the track and he's going to move out the way. But it's obviously part of the Porsche club. The guys got out the way and not interfered with that race. Jason Webb, has he made another? I don't think he has.
Oh, they touch. Jason Webb making some contact there.
Wow.
Jason Webb making some contact. Both of them coming away with that. And that's Albertine looks like it.
Yeah, and who's behind Marcus Steyn as well. So Jason's really got things mixed up here. I didn't think he'd close that gap, but he has. So that, look, I've got no issue. Door to door, side by side through there. That's what we expect to see through turn 1 and 2. So no issues with that. But good car control from both of them staying on the track.
Either way, someone's got to make a move soon because they've got 1 minute to basically chase it down the inside now. Now they're going to go down the hill and then back up again. Is the Porsche going to give way here? Is Jason going to try and move down the inside? Yes, he does. He goes down the inside, makes it stick.
Great move. Get the twitch on the Merc. The rear end of that Merc wanting to rotate, and he's going, no, I've got you, bud.
Not today.
Great move.
Albertine playing that very, very well there, knowing, that this guy's coming, there's no point in contact.
Yeah. It's the last couple of laps. I mean, now's not the time. He's got other problems to worry about now with Steyn right behind him. And Jason Webb now starting to eke out a bit of a gap there in 11th position. A bit too far from Basson for that top 10 finish, but, to come back from, as you said, in the 20s, 23rd, I think it was, up to 11th, that's not too shabby.
Have a look at our deja vu. Morgan McCall's ahead of Kieran Patterson again.
No.
So Kieran's gone and done something.
What happened, Patterson? What
He's
happened?
having the same oaks all the time.
I don't think he ever wants to see Quade Claessens ahead of him again because I think Quade's the omen. The minute he gets close, is that Steyn making a move?
Steyn's making a move
as well, by the looks of things.
Quade Claessens has made more overtakes than anybody else this race, but he's
Yeah,
still in
but
the
I'm
same
the
position.
one person.
No, Kieran Patterson has made.
Sorry, Kieran Patterson, yeah.
Quade's been chilled.
Yeah.
So that's it. Zaire crossing the line for the win. Jeez, we forgot about
That's
it.
so uneventful. It's so uneventful. He's so far ahead.
12 seconds, not bad. Good racing.
Yeah.
Second, Jordan. Listen, I loved the first 2 laps of this race. Good to see Jordan. We knew we would do it. Real race experience. Putting the elbows out and telling Zaire, bud, I'm here to battle you. But credit to Zaire, eh?
Yeah,
Cool head.
unbelievable. Cool heads prevailed. And Zaire Issa did what he needed to do. The pressure that guy had to withstand the first couple of laps and still to get away like that. Well done, team. The guys are all flashing their lights. Bashir Jadwat crosses the line in 3rd place. He's happy with that. Jordan Shedid, of course, in 2nd. Ace, for me, a staggering result considering he's in an Audi. And Leslie Oliphant in 4th position there. Unbelievable stuff. Quade Claessens next. Morgan McCall 6th. And Patterson, unfortunately, in 7th position. Well, we're going to come back to after this battle. This is the last battle taking place here. These guys are on track, and this is for position. Jason Webb there in 11th position, making his way now into the final complex. Behind him, F. Albertine getting that position back from McCall, Junior McCall. And look at that Ferrari applying pressure to the Mercedes-Benz here, but I think Jason has this one wrapped up into the final corner. No mistakes from either of them as they make their way down the main straight. And that is Jason Webb flashing his lights. He's happy with that. Across the line he goes. Great comeback from him. Well, for now, that's all from us. We'll hopefully be chatting to some of the guys. I want to know what happened out there and how dark it was exactly for these guys. I'm sure you guys do too. Stay tuned because we'll be right back after this for more action and interviews at the ATK Pro Series.
Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone.
Let me in my zone. Please don't let me
Now we're saying I've been going to the top and I got what they not, so I know that they hate that. All these men in the zone and all these men gonna tell you what I did and they twist and they work till I fall out. But I know that, so I keep what I'm doing cause I own that. And I stay in the lab and I kill everything, but I don't ever move. I'm a comeback. So a safety car. Can we have one later on? So it'll be just about Ballin', can't leave me up, cause I'm back in my zone now.
Having a great strap and almost bagging wheels.
Cause I'm back in my zone now.
Don't get greedy now, mate. Let's get settled down.
Back to the podium we go, and of course today's action brought to you by AMD, Elgato, Corsair and Sparko. But as far as action goes, these guys provided it all today. Zaire Esser by going off into the distance like he sometimes does. Jordan Shedder taking the fight to Zaire Esser, and Bashir Jadwat missed the consistency, made one or two tiny errors but managed to hold off the hard charge from fourth position there to take that third spot on the podium. These guys really are class of their own, I think. For the most part, these three guys, fantastic stuff. Marius, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's quite cool for our production team because they literally have those faces there. They just figure out who they're going to put in first, second, or third because it generally is these three guys. But really, really awesome to have different conditions again. 2 weeks ago, rain. Tonight, racing in a setting sun into the dark. And again, these guys are pros, man. To put the lap times they were doing in the dark like that, really impressive racing.
I was looking at Zaire Esser's lap times earlier on and absolutely consistent the entire time. I think it was in the 43s for most of his race, if not all of it. And even towards the end, as the tires started going off, he was really, really consistent. I mean, I know he's going to come in here and say he had issues, but he always makes it look easy though, doesn't it?
He's not allowed to mention tires. It's not an excuse anymore. It's done. You've used that one. You've got to find something else. And he can't complain about Escom because he was good in the dock. So I mean, this guy's great.
Yeah, Jordan Shedder doing well, Tasman. I think he's your favorite driver because the elbows were out for Shedder today. That was a good performance from him.
Yeah, I think we all know now that if Zaire's on pole, that second place driver needs to give him a good tussle in order to try and break his rhythm. Jordan definitely gave him a good run for his money on the first couple of laps. Made a little mistake, and Zaire kind of broke that little gap, and he obviously checked out from there. So I think, I mean, it's nice to see Jordan giving him a hard time, but he's obviously got to try and give him a harder time at the next event.
Well, our third place man, Bashir Jadwat, will be joining us any second now. And he had some... he was harassed at the end there. Bash, welcome to our virtual commentary booth over here. We were just talking about you. Well done for third place. A fantastic drive from you, as always. But you got some pressure at the end there.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was one hell of a battle. I tried to stay as close to Jordan as I could, and I think being in the slip, my front tires took a beating.
Yep.
So, yeah, at about 5 laps to go, my front tires were totally cooked. And I struggled in every single slow corner. So, yeah, I'm lucky to have kept Leslie behind. I managed to defend him a bit there. But, it was an epic battle with Jordan up in front. And then at the end as well to close it off. So, yeah, it was a good race. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's what we predicted. We were actually talking about it and wondering. We know that the Porsche struggles a bit with tyre wear. But, yeah, you were literally sitting all over the back of Jordan for so many laps. We thought that might have been a case. What was it like in the dark? Because again, I mean, 2 weeks ago you've got your Bentley belt out and your little water wings, and now you're racing in the dark with a torch. How was that?
It was good. I enjoyed the different atmosphere. I mean, the race after the race with the smoke and the fireworks as well. It's an epic game. This it was fun. Hell of a fun.
So immersive is this game, and epic, as you say. One of the things we were discussing earlier, what was it like when you were behind someone in the dark, and what was it like when someone was behind you in the dark? What is that experience like?
It was you don't really pay attention. You don't want to pay attention to your mirrors too much. If you get watch your mirrors too much, you end up making more mistakes in front of you than letting the guy by easy. So I tried to ignore the mirrors as much as possible. But when I was behind Jordan, I was just trying to put my car where he could see it. So hopefully, force him into one or two mistakes. But he kept it solid throughout. I had one chance at the hairpin, but I defended it well, so I didn't get to do anything. But yeah, the rest of the areas, it was pretty evenly matched. I think our lap times were within a tenth of each other, so yeah, it was an awesome race. I enjoyed that.
Well, it looked pretty awesome from where we were standing. Well done in your third position, man. Epic drive as always, and we were biting our nails at the end there. So thanks for that.
Thanks, guys.
Second place, man, Jordan Sherritt. And Sherritt really does bring with him that typical aggression that you see in a young motorsport sort of karter, that someone coming up in the game, someone with everything to prove. And Sherritt kind of shows that on the circuit, doesn't he?
I just feel sorry for him because from an overall standings perspective, you've got to ignore that. I mean, Jordan's joined us now. He's had a couple of bad luck incidents in the beginning of the season with not logging in time for the race and missing that, and those sort of things have impacted him overall. But I mean, in the race, unbelievably fast. We saw it 2 weeks ago, and we've seen it now again, Jordan. But I get very excited when I was calling it. I said there was going to be contact into turn one. We needed you in second place because that's the only way, is to actually rattle Zaire S's cage a bit. And you had a full go. It was some of the best racing we've seen those first 2 or 3 laps. You must have loved that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's actually nice to have like a on-track battle like that. I mean, it's always what I've wanted. And, obviously, this being a Porsche track, it was kind of difficult for the Audi, where the Audi was uncertain in certain corners because it magnifies the Audi's issues on this track. But so I knew I had to do it on the first 2 laps, and I tried, but Zahir just put his car in the right place and made it hard for me, pretty much.
But it's also nice to watch because, I mean, that's what people need to realize. Door-to-door contact like that is racing. That's what you guys want. So there was a lot of respect shown to both of you. No one was doing anything stupid. You lean on him, he leans on you. Makes for great viewing. So that was really fantastic. Were you struggling with tires? We know the Porsche guys always complain about that, and Bash was saying him sitting all over the back of you, putting you under so much pressure for those laps, ended up costing him from a tire perspective. How was the Audi towards the end?
Generally, the Audi is better on long runs on tires. So let's say if the race was an hour and 20 minutes, or an hour and 30 minutes, it would even the cars out in terms of performance on this track, right?
Yeah.
So the Audi only would gain towards the end of the race, because if you look at the laps, I kind of maybe caught here maybe 3-4 tenths over 5 laps at the end. So towards the end, it was getting better. But in terms of overall pace, this is a Porsche track. I mean, the way the Porsche handles, it's almost made for this track, almost like Kyalami for argument's sake. So it's just one of those things, yeah.
Judging by the top 10 over here, it certainly is a Porsche track, but you being the fastest of the Audis over here, I mean, you're proving everybody wrong by saying that it's a Porsche track, and yet you still do so well in the Audi. What preparation went into getting that car so fast this week? Because you're the only Audi guy out there. You're the only other manufacturer out there.
Sure, I don't know. Just practice, doing laps and laps and laps and laps, and that's all that makes us fast. Would you say fast? But just practice makes perfect, and that's what it takes. What's called maximizing your car for each corner and doing that every single corner, which makes the difference, I would say.
Jordan, this is also very much a rhythm circuit. Catalonia, you've got to get into that rhythm. Was it quite hard with the changing conditions now, having to race in the dark? Does that really muddle around with you guys? So I know you've done your practice sessions. What was it like getting consistency and finding rhythm in the dark?
Well, funny enough, this sort of transition into night went faster than I expected. So I only expected that the last, let's say, 15 minutes would be dark. So it got dark a bit fast for me, and I didn't actually anticipate it. So I started missing braking markers, and because the Audi actually struggles on braking, especially at this track. So it kind of magnified that issue during the race. But luckily, I just kept my cool, pulled it back a little bit, which actually helped me go faster. And obviously kept Dash behind me, which was kind of a challenge because you could actually see where the Porsche just like excels, and I just made sure that I got a good run out of the last corner every time. So I would slow in the middle and just get a good exit, because then that was kind of a done deal, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I could certainly see that as you came out of the complex section over there, you managed to get a fantastic run down the straight, and that giving you the gap then so that you didn't have to take pressure into that first corner. And that's where a lot of the overtaking maneuvers were going today. So a class act from you, Jordan. I mean, really impressed by your driving, man. And you had to stick those elbows out a little bit in the first 2 laps. You did. Didn't happen for you this time, but I look forward to seeing you on the podium again soon, and I'm sure you will be on the top spot again. So thanks for that, and well done on today's driving, man.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff. So our first place man, Zahir Issa, now extends his lead on the championship campaign by yet another 3 points. And on Jadwat, 5 points, who now sits in second position in the championship. But only one man can win this race, and that man is Zahir Issa. Zahir, you did it again, man. You went into the distance and said goodbye and let these guys sort themselves out.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want. I want that. I want your emotion, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Race went very well. Obviously, tires were really an issue on this track, so I was a bit worried. But then with the guys fighting behind me, at least I could manage my own race. And then I guess they killed their own tires or whatever the case was.
You know what I love to hear is a real racing driver gets super stoked when he knows that he was in a battle. Those first 2 or 3 laps were so fantastic to watch, because door to door, contact in all the right places. That's why you race. That's what you want.
Yeah, I think, Jordan knows a thing or two about side-to-side battles, I'm sure. Yeah. So it was great fun. I'm hoping I was putting my car in the right spots just to pick them off. But that's the problem with the Porsche, though, because it's vulnerable down longer straights. It doesn't have the top line speed. So he was coming from a mile back with that Audi. And, as long as I covered the inside, I had him. And then I managed to just pull slightly a gap to get out of the slipstream, and then that was it.
Well, he said in those words that you put your car in the right spot. So well done for that. With regard to the nighttime driving, how did you find it over here? Clearly, there were no issues. I checked your times. You were consistently running in the 43s the entire time.
It's nuts.
Yeah, nighttime is... How beautiful is this game? I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm like trying to look for I thought I saw the moon at the one time, and it was...
Oh, come on. Now you're just rubbing it in.
Yeah, did you have time to look at the scenery? Did you have that much time?
Fantastic.
He's so far ahead, he doesn't need to concentrate on the track. He can look at the scenery around him.
I thought it looked great.
I think you were mooning the guys behind you. Is that what you meant?
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
Oh. You know what, Zahir? It's so great to hear you talk like this. It's great to hear your personality come through, and I'm glad to hear the joy in your voice, because you did it again, my friend. You show them how it's done, flag to flag, a fantastic performance. And let's not forget about that qualifying performance as well. I mean, that was an amazing qualifying as well.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, let's not forget the fact that this is a Porsche track, so it was always going to be strong. So I'm glad I just could deliver that result without Jordan causing a bit of an upset. So I'm happy with this. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Zahir Issa, fantastic driving. And what a race, what a day. Extends his championship lead even more. Marius, what can we look forward to, do you think, going to Hungary in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I don't know about you. I'm hungry now, and I'm hungry for 2 weeks' time, because that, again, is a fantastic track that if you go and look at traditional racing, it's a track that's, the guys say, difficult for overtaking, but you've got that straight, you've got a real overtaking opportunity through turn 1 and the complexes, and it's a circuit that's always brought great racing from a Formula 1 perspective. And the guys are going to find it very similar to Barcelona. A lot of follow my lead a bit, where you're lining things up to make that one move in the critical place. So I think it's going to be fantastic. I don't know what we're going to have next. We've had a bit of darkness, we've had a bit of rain, so I'm really looking forward to 2 weeks' time at the Hungara Ring. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm sure all the drivers are looking forward to it. The top 3, of course, we just spoke to them now. Leslie Oliphant doing well there to get into 4th position. I'm sure these guys are now, there's something to prove by some of these guys. Kieran Patterson, he's going to want to do better next week. Jason Webb, I'm sure, also going to want to do better next week. And another one, Charles Wilkin, having a bit of a tough time out there, down in 16th position. some of these guys have the pace. They just haven't been able to put it together yet. And I think next week, 2 weeks' time is going to be their chance to do so. And that leads me to driver of the day. Marius, who do you have?
Jason
Top
Webb.
3. Jason Webb, yep.
Jason Webb for me, because I'm having a look. Him and Charles came together first corner, first lap. They were both down 25th, wherever it was. For Jason to claw his way back to 11th, we were on board with him for a lot of the overtakes. That was a really inspired driver. And I just feel sorry for him because he gets caught up in stuff that isn't his own fault, and he pays the ultimate price. And I think, you look where Bruno finished there and the other Merc in 8th. I think that's kind of where Jason would have been, his 7th or 8th. But what a drive. That for me is my driver of the day.
Well, to be just 2 or 3 positions off of Bruno Cadile, who also himself drove a fantastic race. Look, my nomination it's got to be Kieran Patterson for the most overtakes done in a race. I'm sure he gets that. It's pity it's on the same person. I
can't give him driver of the day. He made too many mistakes. That's
I know what you mean.
He had proper pace. And if he didn't make the mistakes, he would have finished in 5th place. So it was exciting for us. But he's not on. Obviously, Zaire was brilliant, and Jordan as well. I mean, so that would be my top 3: Zaire, Jordan, and definitely Jason Webb. I think those were the good drivers for me today.
Definitely. I think Kieran's a man to watch in the future. Some of them might be coming up through the grid. But let's not forget, as you say, those top 3 guys, fantastic drive. Leslie Oliphant, unfortunately, getting 4th position. But I was hoping to see him maybe in the top 3 this week. Quade Claessen's at least in the top 5 as well. So, you know what? There has been a shuffling of the guard. Some of the guys further down not doing as well as they could have. Wilkin, Mumford, Walker as well, showing some good pace. And Cody Shedder as well, down in 23rd position.
Yeah, well, he had a drive-through penalty, so he obviously got himself into trouble with the game at some point. So, I mean, that's basically, you just don't come back from it. So we'll have a look. I mean, updated standings are up there now. And that's what we were saying earlier. There's not big point differences between the guys, but as long as they keeps consistently ending up in the top 3 and more often than not winning it, it's going to be impossible to claw that back. We know there are 2 races that people can throw away. Some guys were forced to throw away today because of ESCOM, which doesn't help the cause. But I think it's going to be very, very difficult to change that top 3 at this point. I mean, how do you have a look at Morgan McCall, consistent in 4th? How do you find 20 points over 30 points? So I think that for me is the problem at the moment. Is I think that's kind of what our top 3 is going to look like come end of the season. Have a look. Jason Upsmeyer is a guy I'm talking about. Dropped 5 positions now because he didn't race today because of the load shedding things. But who knows? Once they throw their worst results away, this will definitely be one of his.
Jordan Shedder, the big mover there. Jason Webb, also a nice big mover and a shaker there, up 6 positions, both of them. Bruno Cadile up 3 positions, also making his way up the grid there, and Cody Shedder up 8. So these guys are all fighting for the opportunity to go to the Kyalami 9 Hour at the end of the year. Hopefully that still takes place, and these guys get to make their way through for the finals. So there's a lot at stake here to try and make sure and secure as many of those championship points as possible. What's interesting for me at the front of the grid is that none of these guys are actually having DNFs. The top 3, 4, 5 guys are not having DNFs. So that means even the throwaways are not going to be bad results for them.
Yeah, but that's why I think Jordan also stands a very good chance in the overall positions. Yes, for now, he doesn't look so good, but he's going to be throwing away that 0-pointer where the other guys are going to have to start looking at maybe not racing a race. They're kind of going to have to be strategic about it.
Wow.
Yeah, they're going to have to look at it a little bit more seriously because you can lose a lot of points by dropping quite a first place or a second place or whatever it may be.
Totally, because I mean, Zaire's got to throw away at this stage. He's throwing away a 3rd. You know what I mean?
Well, Zahir's definitely got what we call a high-quality problem of having too many wins and too many points. Zahir is in first place there, our man of the day at the moment, and your overall winner today, of course, was brought to you by AMD, Corsair, and Elgato, and our latest partner, Parco, giving you guys the opportunity to win some insane racing gloves. And these aren't racing gloves for a car, these are racing gloves for Sims. So, and you get the cap as well to go with that. So go check that out on all our socials. But that's it from us and the team here today. What an eventful day on this track in Formula One and everywhere else. Thanks for that ESCOM as well. We got to thank them for some of the drama thrown in for good measure today. But guys, what a fantastic day. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks' time for Hungary. And join us then for the next round of the ATK Pro Series. Until then, goodbye.